Looking at some of the Cardinals stuff, and everything is quiet on the reliever front. And look, the only thing I'll say, if this is even a defense of the front office, I know the Kansas City Royals have gotten busy. I know some other teams have taken some relievers off the market, but we haven't seen the mad rush yet. And if we start seeing that there is, in fact, a rush on the market for relievers and the Cardinals are sitting it out, you don't have to text message me and tell me to start raising hell. I'll be happy to do that. But it's been a little slow. It's been sporadic. Some of the stuff was absolutely predictable. The Braves, re-signed a couple of relievers that were with them or who had been with them in the past. Joe Kelly signed with the Dodgers. And I saw some Cardinals fans complaining about that. Well, why didn't, we go get him? Well, maybe it's because, I don't know. He grew up in Southern California. He's pitched for the Dodgers on 2 different occasions. He lives out there, little things like that. So a lot of these reliever signings were predictable, but the guys that are still out there, and I didn't have time today to get into numbers. I'll be working on that a little bit. But, the guys who, in terms of their projected value for next season, the guys out there who 1, 2, 3 who had the list are Aroldis Chapman, Josh Hader, and drumroll Jordan Hicks. So I don't know where that stands with Hicks. I'm sure that he and his agent would want a multi-year deal, maybe 3-year deal, something like that. But I don't mind the Cardinals obviously revisiting the past because they put a lot of time into developing him and sort of riding out some difficult times with him. And they finally got him in the role that he's good at. And he's a really good late inning guy now. And a guy that, high leverage, guy you want to come in at a really, really crucial time. He's one of the, again, if we're just looking at who's out there, we're not comparing Jordan Hicks to some of the great relievers in history. We're just looking at the available free agents. It's Chapman, Hader, Hicks. They're not going to be in the Hader market. Chapman is still formidable in a lot of ways, but he walks a lot of hitters too. The Cardinals have been linked, and I'm always suspicious of this, only because of the nonsense, like, for example, over Yamamoto. Well, they're a serious suitor. They're the secret team. They're this, they're that. Yamamoto's mother, good friends with Nootbaar's mother. That's it. No, you had the New York Mets owner and front office, maybe even their new manager. They flew to Japan to personally recruit Yamamoto. The Dodgers are going all out to recruit him. The Giants are going all out to recruit him. The Yankees are going all out to recruit him. In fact, Brian Cashman late in the season left the Yankees to go watch Yamamoto compete in the postseason over there. Just to establish a presence. So you have all these teams swarming, and now people are saying, Yamamoto, Baseball Insiders think it could be $315 million, 25-year-old starting pitcher. So anyway, I'm reluctant. Whenever I see or hear the Cardinals being linked to a pitcher from Japan, I'm like, okay, if you're telling me they're interested, yes. Why wouldn't they be? But if you're telling me this makes them, they're aggressively pursuing him and they're right there. No, I'm not buying any of that stock. But there's a lefty reliever, Yuki Matsui from Japan, who's really good. He's projected to do well. The guy I talked about yesterday, Robert Stevenson, with his 40% strikeout rate, once the Tampa Bay Rays got hold of him and fixed him. Mm-hmm. There's some other ones on the list that have that kind of late inning zap that you want. Hector Neris of the Astros. Then the list starts to really kind of run. Now I'm going to say dry, but you have David Robertson, who's an old reliever, but unless I missed an injury of some sort, I think he's still viable. Another guy with the well-traveled Daniel Hudson is another one of those guys. Then you go down the list. There's a pitcher from the KBO, Korea Wook-suk-go. He is considered to be pretty good. I don't know anything about him. There's a guy that's been well-traveled who's 34 years old, a right-hander, Kagan Middleton. Struck out about 31% last year, but also a problem with walks. You know who's out there that you might be able to get for a lower price that actually showed some real pop last year in terms of strikeouts? That would be old friend Shelby Miller. He's healthy. He was throwing the ball harder than he has in a long time last year. And I could go right down the list, but I've pretty much given you the highlights. And the Cardinals are going to have to make their move here because right now, and you know it's starting, Jim, and I don't really blame people. I mean, I will do the thing where I say, well, wait a minute. The offseason isn't over yet, so let's not have payroll panic just yet. But I think it's totally cool if fans, bloggers, whomever, I think it's totally cool if they note, well, you know, right now the Cardinals' 26-man payroll is lower than it was last year, and they still have money to spend, so why aren't they spending it? Okay, I agree with that. That's a fair principle. But again, it's December the 13th. Spring, you know, it's still got 2 months before spring training. There's still plenty of time. Unless the Cardinals get caught, if Mozeliak and Gersh and all the Kings men, they get caught flat-footed, when the reliever market, there's a rush on the reliever market and they're starting to go quickly and they're kind of standing around doing nothing, okay, then it's time to holler. Then it's time to say, well, what the hell are y'all doing? Or what the hell are you not doing? What's up? So, but I'm not there yet. But because there's still some good people out there, there's always trades as a possibility as well. But I think the concern, Mr. Jim Hewer, I think the concern is this. If you look at the relievers that they have accumulated this offseason, I think they like a few of these guys. Like them as in thinking that they're going to be in the bullpen. Ryan Fernandez, the Rule 5 draftee from Boston. Nick Robertson, the former Dodgers draft choice, big hard-throwing reliever. Nick Robertson, they got him in the O'Neill trade. John King, who they got from the Rangers in the Montgomery Stratton trade. However, John King gets about 60% ground balls, and he's the old crafty lefty, but he doesn't strike out anyone. And, you have to wonder whether what he did last year for the Cardinals is pretty impressive from an ERA standpoint, but is it smart to look at him as the number 2 guy lefty in your bullpen? I don't know. I think that's a little questionable. Then there's a guy at the start of the offseason they got from Seattle in a trade.
Yep.
Riley O'Brien. You got to like that name, first of all. Riley O'Brien, and I was doing a little more work on him. And listen, this was at AAA last year, okay? And so I'm just noting that. It was at AAA, Tacoma. And, in 55 innings as a reliever, he struck out a hell of a lot of guys. My point is that the guys that I just mentioned who are new to the organization, Ryan Fernandez, Nick Robertson, Riley O'Brien, John King. The longer this goes on, the longer let me start over. The longer that this goes on, where they're talking about how much they like these guys, the more I'm going to think. I'm thinking it now, but the more I'm going to think. Well, wait a minute. So you're just about all set now, are you? Is that what I'm hearing?
It has that feel.
So that is what is potentially troubling about this. They're going to do the same thing again, the bait and the switch. And I know they got their 3 starting pitchers. I'm one of the people that really praised them for that. I like what they did there. But again, we talked about it yesterday, and I'm probably boring because I do repeat stuff that I said, but I also know the audience is changing frequently because people come and go. Let's hold off on the victory laps. You got 3 starting pitchers. You did well. I liked it a lot. I don't think enough people appreciate what you did. So I'll defend them on that. But that doesn't mean it's like time to exhale and sit back and, hey, we're in good shape. Mo, do you think you're a championship contender? Yes, we do. He said it to general managers. Yeah, we are. No, you're not. You got to. There's other things you got to do. You got to get some starting pitching protection, and you got to add 2 impact guys for high leverage relief roles. I'm not saying that these guys that you have picked up from the Red Sox, the guy from Seattle, I'm not saying they're garbage. I'm not saying they're junk. I'm not saying they can't help you. I would just like to see a sure and established reliever or 2 brought in here. Make it 2, as a matter of fact. Rather than wishing and hoping that a couple of these guys pan out in a impactful way.
I just say this. As you read out the names, it has the feel of the Cardinal thinking of, I got about 4 guys here. I can make 2 of these guys work. Yeah. That's not what I want. And what you're talking about, you're right. It screams, oh, we got 4 guys. 2 of them will work. That's all I need. I'll get 2 out of that 4 or 5 I got laying around here of just guys, because we think we can fix a couple of them. And, oh, boy, seen that road way too many times. The one thing I'll throw out as far as the relievers and possibly a free agent thing, and I don't know this for sure, but, we talk about the Cardinals dealing with, that Bally's cloud over their head. I think all of Major League Baseball is kind of dealing with that.
A lot of teams, for sure.
And so I wonder if that's affecting this market as well for, the entire league, not just the Cardinals. I think maybe there's a lot of other teams going, I could use that, but I don't know how much I could spend right now. I'm not comfortable spending this much because my budget tells me I need it to be this number. And I may not be getting that number from my television deal. So I wonder how much of that is affecting this whole thing league-wide. It's not going to affect the big money teams because we're seeing what the Dodgers are going to do, what the Dodgers do. Other teams are going to do the same thing. I just wonder how it affects, these middle reliever guys who there's always somebody, I don't want to overspend, but you brought up Shelby Miller. He seems like he's in a good spot in that role. And I wouldn't mind having him on this team.
Yeah, he'd be not a high leverage guy necessarily.
Right,
the Dodgers didn't use him, but he did a good job for the Dodgers last year. I give you an example of what a smart organization does. That's building in some protection, but not building up a guy as if, he's going to be a main cog in our bullpen.
Right.
Like today, the Dodgers signed Daniel Hudson to a minor league deal, and if he makes the team and he works in their bullpen, he'll earn $2 million in 2024. And the thing about Daniel Hudson, number one, he's old. He's 37. And his 2023 season was kind of lost in space because he tore up an ACL later in the season in 2022. So he was rehabbing last winter. He wasn't really in, pitching shape, so to speak. Mm-hmm. He also developed some related injuries to the recovering from the knee surgery. And so he wasn't activated until June, and then he had a sprained knee. And you say, well, why would you even take a flyer on that? It's because he's now had a long time to actually rehab all this stuff. But prior to the knee trouble, when he was with the Dodgers, he had in 2022. He had a 2.22 ERA and a 31% strikeout rate and a high ground ball rate. And so the Dodgers actually extended him going into 2023, even though he had injured his knee. But that knee injury became more serious, and it kind of knocked him out of whack. The point is, they're smart enough to say, we know what he can do if that knee's back on solid ground. So it's worth a minor league contract. It's some insurance for us. If he's not all the way back, then so what? It's a minor league contract. It's nothing. If he's healthy and throwing great, well, we got a hell of a reliever for $2 million. That's the kind of stuff that the people down at Busch Stadium need to be doing.
I can't disagree with that. Thinking outside the box and getting something that's aggressive. I do have a text for you. Asked, are you concerned they've run Gallegos into the ground?
Well, of course.
If so, bringing Hicks back would make a lot of sense right now.
Well, Hicks, yeah, for sure. I agree, and yeah, they've run him out of the They've pretty much tapped out his fuel as far as just running him out there all the time. Schilt did that a lot,
yes,
and he rebounded from that. Talking about Gallegos, to his credit, he eventually rebounded from that. I have concern because when you see a guy's strikeout rate drop 6%. And you see his hard hit rate go from 40 against him, like 42, 43% all the way over 50. Trouble. Don't ignore those alarm bells that are ringing, but they are. They're very, 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 very predictable when it comes to that kind of stuff. And I don't know why. They get burned constantly in stuff that they could have accounted for by being a little more proactive. Okay, Gallegos can do a job for you, but let's not assume he's going to be that eighth inning guy that's going to blow everybody away. Not after all the signs of decline last year. You can't assume he's going to get back to where he was 2019, 2021, so on and so forth. But they do. That's what they do. And that's why they're in some of the reasons why they're in the trouble that they are in right now. They assume things, and here I go again, warning. They overrate and overestimate the talent that they have.
Absolutely true.
That complacency has led to big problems. And if Mo was listening to this, or Gersh, they'd be laughing at me. Can you believe he's saying this stuff? Yeah, because I can kind of back it up with facts. I can back it up with a bunch of examples.
There have been quite a few.
Yeah.
I'll throw in one more thought on this bullpen. I know they're counting on JoJo, and he was good towards the end of last year. I don't know if there's enough track record for me to go, he'll be fine. I'm not 100% going.
I really like what I saw from him, but no, you're right. You can't just assume that he is like this shutdown reliever, lefty reliever, high leverage, and that based on what you saw last year, that means he's good to go. It's a guy that you can count on. You can bank on him. You can't. No, I mean, I think he was really good. I mean, I really, really appreciate the way he pitched last year. He struck out 29%. It allowed a .216 batting average. He didn't walk many, not really. And he limited power. I mean, the slugging percentage against him was under 300. He did a lot of really good things. He win probability added. He was right there, right near the top in terms of win probability added with the other relievers. But again, what kind of track record are we talking about here? He got into 27 games for the Cardinals last year. He pitched 36 2/3 innings. That's all good, but again, that's not like you've seen that for 2 years or 3 years, So I'm with you on that one.